We are here with Billy Porter celebrating his Out magazine cover. Congratulations on the cover, Billy.
Thank you.
So creative and artistic. What was that whole experience like?
It was really wonderful because, we had our ideas. Everybody came together, and it was so smooth and so honest. It really feels like I'm finding a space for this next part of my journey.
And speaking of this next part of your journey, I mean, you're making your return to music with a new album now 26 years after your debut album.
Yes.
And this is really such an expression, a personal expression for you. So what has it been like making that return?
Well, it's redemptive. It's redemption.
Yeah.
My first R&B album came out on A&M Records in 1997. The business was very homophobic, and it didn't work out so well for me because I really wasn't interested in not being my full self. And so now, all these years later, I get to come back on my own terms, and it takes my breath away. It's magical. I'm so grateful that I've lived long enough to see the day where my queerness, which I was told would be my liability by allies and haters alike, and it was my liability for decades, and now my queerness is my superpower. And the world needs to see what that looks like. Our kids need to see what that looks like and what that feels like. Our government officials need to understand that the change has already happened. The world only spins forward, and we're not going anywhere. So, my art is a revolutionary act. It's my calling, it's my purpose, it's my ministry, and the music, the singing, is the original gift. That's what God gave me. I started singing at 5 in church. So to be able to come back to it like this, it's powerful and magnificent.
And we recently interviewed you for the Advocate channel, and you said something that I loved. You said, "I am the change I was looking for."
Yes.
What does it mean to you to provide that for others when you weren't afforded that yourself?
It makes me really happy that we've come this far, and it's really still hard to process.
Yeah.
It's not hard to process. It's still interesting to process, because in the owning of one's power, we are more powerful.
Yeah.
We can show up and sit inside of the thing that we were meant to be.
Absolutely.
And the more I live, the more I get to do that. And it's powerful. It really is.
And speaking of another extension of your art and your creativity is your style. I mean, your red carpet fashion is some of the most talked about. What first inspired you to be so bold with your gender-bending styles and not hold back in that way?
What's interesting is that it kind of evolved. Like, it kind of sort of fell out of nowhere, because if I'm being honest, even coming out of Kinky Boots, where I played a drag queen for 3 years and won a Tony and a Grammy for it, it never occurred to me that I could do that in Billy's real life, that I could play with gender in fashion and be queer and use fashion as like an activism space. I didn't get it until I just was looking for something else. I went out looking. I was on a different kind of tour, and I was looking for what the visual would look like. What is the visual for me now? And interestingly enough, I came upon Rick Owens, the designer Rick Owens, and I stumbled into that store, and in that moment, it was like, because the lady said, all of this is gender fluid. And I started looking at the floor, and it was dresses, it was pants, it was tunics, it was everything. And it changed everything for me.
Does Rick Owens have any idea that he inspired you in that way?
I think so.
Yeah.
I've met him. I've met his partner. They know me at the store. They love me. I haven't been in a couple of years because I can't afford it right now. But I think he knows.
Congrats on the cover. We're so looking forward to your tour, the
Thank
Black
you.
Mona Lisa tour. And we know that Oscar is coming, so we get that EGOT status is headed
It's
your
gonna
way.
come.
It
It's
is.
gonna come
Yeah.
when it's time. And it's time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank
Good talking
you.
with you.
Good to talk to you too.